What's going on, CDL fans? Today we're power ranking all the official and rumored rosters heading into the 2024 season. We're gonna crack on open art juvie and get right into this video. All right, so starting it off at number 12, without a doubt, is gonna have to be LAG, since they just don't have a rumored roster right now, so I can't put them anywhere else. And then coming in at number 11, just ahead of them, I do have the Carolina Royal Ravens. Now, I just don't really know how I feel about this roster. I haven't watched a ton of challengers in recent years, so the guys like GodRx, Gwyn, who is apparently their mostly rumored fourth, as well as Real, I just don't exactly know how well they're going to translate into the league. And Clayster, who's kind of on more of the downward trajectory in his career. I do think this team has potential for sure. I mean, when you have three younger guys or three rookies, I mean, GodRx obviously isn't a rookie, but he hasn't been in the league for a few years. When you have a bunch of guys like this who maybe haven't been in the league before, haven't been in the league in a while, they have a lot to prove. So I really think that this team could make a big jump. Then coming in at number 10 for me is going to be the Seattle Surge. This team is just, I don't know how exactly I feel about this team. You know, they have three veterans. You have Arcides and Illy, who both kind of haven't really had last year the best seasons that they've had. Hook, very inconsistent player, but can be really, really good. And then Abuza, who is probably the front runner for Rookie of the Year. This is reminding me another Seattle Surge team that we've seen in the past when they put on, you know, like a rookie like Pred. Abuza, if he really pops off, I think the Surge can definitely make some runs at events. But for right now, especially being as they have three people who are typically AR players, I'm just not exactly sure how I feel about this team. It just doesn't give me the best vibe. Then coming in at number 9, I do have the new Miami Heretics team. Like I said, I haven't watched a ton of challengers, so I really don't know a lot about this team, but I feel like this is a team that's going to be really, really hungry. All of them are going to be working really, really hard together to try and be the best team that they possibly can be. I think they're going to have a lot of motivation, and I feel like this is a team that's going to start out the season really, really hot. I think they're going to be really good at the beginning of the year. I could obviously be completely wrong about this, but I got a good feeling about the Miami Heretics. Then coming in at number 8, I do have the Minnesota Rocker team. The Rocker team is interesting. I think Accuracy and Awakening actually balance each other pretty well as an AR duo. You got Wake to kind of get the kills. You got Accuracy to play the objective and be the leader, keep the fundamentals there. And I think that duo is actually really good. And then on the other side of the sub duo, Vivid, a pretty inconsistent player. And then Linz, another challengers player who I don't know a lot about, but does have a lot of hype coming into this year. I have seen a lot of people online saying that Linz can be that slaying SMG, while Vivid is the aggressive entry type of guy. So I do think this Rocker team, I mean, like a lot of these teams, has a lot of potential. Then coming in at number 7, I do have my LA Thieves. I really wanted to put Thieves higher as a Thieves fan myself, but when looking at the other rosters, I'm definitely leaning more towards them just at these initial rankings. You know, Afro coming off a season where he was benched, Cammy coming off a season where he didn't play super, super well, and then Joe Deceives was probably the best player on the LAG team last season, but overall, I mean, that whole team was a disaster. And then Ghosty obviously coming off a great rookie year from Optic. I think this team, another one that has a lot of potential. I keep saying that in this video. And as an LA Thieves fan, I really obviously am going to have faith and I'm going to be optimistic about the team. I think this is the type of team that if they hit their form, if we see MVP Cammy from Cold War come back in MW3, this team will definitely be a solid force in the league. Now coming on into our top 6, at number 6, a team that people might be surprised about, I do have the Las Vegas Legion. Personally, really like this rumored Legion roster. Now, once again, this is the rumored Legion roster. This is not the confirmed roster, but the roster of Attach, Standy, Nero, and Purge, I actually really, really like this. Attach obviously didn't have a great season last year, but the year before in Vanguard, he was probably like a top 5, top 6 type of player. He was really, really good in Vanguard. I think Standy and Nero also could be an amazing SMG duo. Standy's a really solid, consistent slaying SMG. He's pretty much always giving you like a 1.05. And Nero is actually a very consistent, you know, impactful damage dealing, fast-paced SMG. He might give you a 0.95, but he's really, really fast. He does a lot of damage, and he's good at just about every game mode. So I do think that duo is going to be good. And then Purge, coming from Challengers, he has a lot of hype. I don't know a lot about him, like I said, with the Challengers players coming in this year, but I actually have a really, really good feeling about this Vegas team. Now we're into our top 5. Obviously, the top 4 is just about known. So number 5, I do have the Boston Breach. You have Slasher coming off a good year with Atlanta FaZe. You have Priesta coming off an amazing year with the Subliners. Capsidal, who had a pretty solid season when he was down there in Florida. He was only there for a couple majors, I think, but he was looking pretty good. And then Snoopy, obviously, you know, only played a few series at Champs. I think this team is going to be good. I think they have great leadership. They're going to have great fundamentals. Slasher and Priest, I think, are really going to do a good job of molding this young SMG duo. And I just don't want to underrate Slasher and Priesta. I think both of these guys, you know, they have won almost every single year. I think so far in the first 5 years of the CDL we've seen so far, Slasher or Priesta has won a major. So these guys, I think they know what they're doing, and I'm not going to underrate them heading into the year. Now we get into our top 4. Everyone knows who the top 4 teams are, but in what order do I personally have them ranked at this time on November 1st, 2023? And at number 4, I do have Optic Texas. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be freaking out about this. So before you start typing your comments, we're going to kind of explain this as we go. Optic, I do think this team has the potential to be the best team in the game. Adding Pred, adding Kenny. Kenny gives you that leadership. Pred, I think, is probably one of the most consistent players in the game. And I think those two adding on to Shotzi and Dashi is just insane. But we're going to keep moving so I can sort of explain this as I go. Number 3, I have the Toronto Ultra. They were probably the 3rd best team overall last year. Obviously, really good towards the end of the year. Didn't really show out at Champs Finals, but really great team. They upgraded Hixie into Envoy, which is an amazing direct upgrade. They played pretty much the same role, and Envoy is the kind of guy that's going to be really, really good all season long. Be relatively consistent, give you a 1.0 KD at least. I really like this Ultra team. I think they're going to be really, really good. But then into our top 2, I'll reveal all of them at once. I have the Subliners at 2 and FaZe at 1. FaZe didn't place outside the top 3 at any event. They added Draza over Slasher, which I think is an upgrade. They moved Celium to main AR, which I think is where he should be. FaZe is the type of team that when you add another borderline superstar player like Draza onto your team, this team's just going to be absolutely insane next year. I kept Subliners at 2. Yes, they lost Priesta and they added Sib, and it's a big role for Sib to fill. We don't know what's going to go on. Subliners were dominant last season, right? It's not like they just won champs. If they just won champs, I might honestly have them down at 3 or 4, but they won half of the events last year, right? They won 3 out of 6 events. So yes, they made one player change. We got to keep some respect on that core trio, you know, Skies, Hydra, and Kismet that they're keeping around, the coaching staff. So I think you got to keep your respect on Subliners, even though they made a move for Sib over Priesta. I still think Subliners are number 2. So then that kind of brings me back to my point about Optic. I just kind of think FaZe improved, Subliners improved, Ultra improved, Optic of course improved as well, but those 3 were better than Optic last year in my opinion, and being as they improved, I just have to keep them above Optic right now in my power rankings. But let me know what you guys thought about this video. These are my rankings. What do you think about them? Obviously, it's hard to rank, especially when there's a lot of rookies or people that we haven't seen in the league in a minute. You know, so it's going to be interesting to kind of see what ends up happening with this season. I'm going to do power rankings throughout the year. So we're going to see this graphic more and more, and we're going to kind of see, you know, who moves and fluctuates where in my personal rankings. So if you want to see more of that CDL type of content, sub to the channel, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one.